going on, y'all? Nab here. So, gonna check out this CNN town hall that they held in Iowa with presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. I would say right now he's on the leaderboard for me at numero uno. He's saying a lot of things I agree with. He's young, he's energetic, he's very smart. He has his own money, so he's not getting paid off by the donors to speak their agenda. So I like that. Obviously, that's like a Trump quality because he has his own money, so he doesn't have to take any money from anybody, and he can speak the truth. He can speak on what he wants to speak. He doesn't have to, kind of only have talking points of all of his donors. So let's check out this town hall with CNN. It's in Iowa, and it's being hosted by Abby Phillip on CNN. So let's check it out.
We have here Riley Miller. He's a law student at Drake University and a clerk in the Marion County Attorney's Office. He's a Republican who is currently undecided. Riley?
Thank you. On the debate stage, you have somewhat abandoned the tact and diplomacy that I would look for in a president. I'm all for keeping it real and dogging the establishment, but there's a gravitas that I look for in those who represent our country. How do you see the balance between being authentic and maintaining that presidential demeanor?
I appreciate the question. I think it's very candid. This is what I love about Iowa. I get tougher questions from you guys than I do from the media. That's good. That's why we're here. So I appreciate that.
Look at her face. She's like, "Oh, you little bastard."
Here's the standard I use for holding myself to or holding any president to. I want us to be able to look our kids in the eye and tell them that I want you to grow up and be like him. It's been a long time since we've held our presidents to that standard. That's the standard I want you to hold me to. That's a high standard. Now, I think about that in judging the way that I comport myself in different areas. Am I going to tell my kids to go to school and be a bully? No, I'm not. But I'm going to tell them if somebody bullies you or hits you, you're going to hit them back 10 times harder. And that's the way I'm going to lead this country. You have to be, as we say in our family, you have to be strong enough to protect your kindness. Mm-hmm. So if you watch those debates carefully, I don't engage in four-letter words. I mean, there are other candidates who have called me dumb, scum, and worse that I'm not going to repeat here. I didn't go after them, but if they're going to come after me, I'm not going to be a president, whether it's Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin or anybody else, who's going to roll over. When I'm leading the United States, the same rule applies. If you hit us, we hit you back 10 times harder. But it's not for the sake of being a bully. It's for protecting our inner kindness, too. And I think it's important that we have a president that has both of those attributes. I've done more podcasts probably than most presidential candidates in history combined, mostly because podcasts are new. I'll admit that. But I will tell you, that's a different setting.
That's true. He's been on a lot of podcasts.
Ecclesiastes that teaches, and my faith teaches me the same.
Every day I check on YouTube to see what's new. He's on a lot of podcasts, interviews. He goes to CNN, he goes to Fox, he goes everywhere. He does podcasts with big time podcast people, small time. He's been on PBD. Has he been on Joe Rogan? I think he's been on Joe Rogan too. But he's definitely been on PBD. He's been on with the Nelk Boys, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. He had a podcast with Alex Jones. So he's been on CNN a few times. And I know it's a lot more. He's not scared to do interviews. He's not scared to do podcasts, which I like. So he's not hiding anything pretty much. And whatever you come at him with, he has an answer for it, which is good.
Same thing. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for fortitude. There's a time and place for justice. There's a time and place for mercy. And I think it's going to take all of those attributes, every last ounce of each of those attributes, to stand for this country, to reunite this country and revive who we are. You don't want a wilting flower in the White House, but you also want somebody who understands what we are fighting for. That's the standard I want you to hold us to. We will aspire to hold ourselves to. And I think that sometimes being a parent is what gives me my moral clarity. And I hope through the rest of this campaign, we're just getting warmed up, I hope to be able to earn your trust that, yes, I do have what it takes to tell you the truth. I'm not going to hide the truth from you. If you want someone who's going to speak truth to power, vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you, to the Republican Party. Do it unvarnished, without sugarcoating. And I don't do much sugarcoating. But also somebody who is...
I'd rather somebody tell me the harsh truth, even if it's for me to look in the mirror, self-reflect on what I've been doing. But I'd rather have somebody tell me the hard truth than give me some bull crap, feed me some bull crap to make me feel good when it's not going to help me in any way. I don't believe in that. I believe in telling the truth, no matter what.
You, I believe, want.
I can handle it. We can handle it.
Ideals that would make our founding fathers proud.
They're trying to hide stuff from us.
Make our children proud as well.
Speaking of those debates, let me ask you about something that you said at the debate last week. You used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on January 6th. The next day, Capitol rioter Alan Hostetter highlighted your comments at his sentencing. He is going to prison for 11 years. Hostetter threatened members of Congress. He brought a hatchet, knives, pepper spray, stun batons, tactical gear to the U.S. Capitol. Are you concerned that a convicted felon like that is now promoting your comments in court?
So here's my concern, Abby, and I want to tell you guys where I'm at. If you had told me, it's close to 3 years ago that January 6, 2021 happened. If you had told me 3 years ago, back when I was a biotech CEO, not steeped in this world, I was just consuming passive media, but was focused on my world of developing medicines. If you had told me that January 6th was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that was crazy talk. Fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat...
I would have said the same thing. I was horrified on January 6th. I was like, what is going on? These folks, these Trump folks, they're like, they had enough of this crap. They said all these BLM riots, all these others, social riots, identity politics, all that stuff, all the stuff that's been going on since Trump was in power, since 2016. It felt like the country was in complete chaos for those 4 years. And 2020 was like the culmination of that, where pretty much they were going to stage a coup. They weren't going to let Joe Biden become a president. And they were going to prop up their dictator, Donald Trump. This is what I thought. This is back when I used to watch CNN exclusively. I never used to watch Fox News. I used to think those people were crazy, which they're still kind of crazy, but it's better to get your information from two different point of views so you could kind of get to the truth in the middle. It's hard to get the truth when you're watching only one side of the argument, which CNN is obviously heavy Democratic liberal. Those are pretty much, that's the news you're going to get. Everything about that is liberal Democratic. Fox is the opposite, Republican conservative. That's all you're going to get over there. And then, you got all the other legacy media channels. They all have their side they pick, which is if you're not into this and you're not doing your research, you're not reading, you're not on YouTube watching independent news, you'll think that this is what's actually happening in the country. And you will completely miss the other side. They kind of pick and choose what they want to show you. So they're pick and choose things, especially in an election year. They're pick and choose things to give you, especially on the Democratic liberal side, because they know most of the liberals are very emotional people. They'll give you the things that are gonna get you all riled up. They'll give you the news that's gonna get you all riled up and get you out there causing chaos and stuff like that. And they're not giving you the true full story, an unbiased story. I would say I didn't realize that till maybe the middle of 2022 when I started to realize that. And I was shocked that in the United States of America, there's heavy propaganda media. It's propaganda. It's controlled. It's an agenda they have, and they don't deviate from that agenda no matter what. There's nothing as far as CNN that the Democrats and the liberals could do wrong. And on Fox, it's the other way. There's nothing the Republicans and the conservatives could do wrong. And if they do wrong, they will purposely not cover it. They will not cover the story. You go on CNN, you'll see nothing about the migrant crisis that's going on. The southern border, where they're letting everybody in, and they're busing them to New York and Chicago. Apparently Joe Biden's doing flights from places, sending them all over the place. And you will hear nothing about that on CNN. I purposely checked, like when this was going on. I'm seeing this on YouTube, all the people in Chicago that are protesting, all the people in New York that are protesting. And these Democrats, even the mayor of New York, Mayor Adams, said something about it. And of course, he was investigated a few weeks later. FBI had him under investigation. But anyway, if you're deep into the propaganda media, you're really not gonna know what's going on, and you got to go out there and do your research. And you have to believe that what you're watching most of the time is partly the truth. It's not the full truth. Anyway, let's keep going.
Deep in this, it's not. I mean, the reality is
I was right there with him.
We do have a government, first of all, we have to acknowledge, that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of COVID-19, about the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise before we now know that it was true.
Yep.
You can go straight down the list, the Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax, all of it. Now we come to January 6th. The reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. If I may finish just answering.
Well, let me
this is really important.
I'm gonna go ahead and interrupt you here.
Why?
Because
Why are you
you're saying
interrupting?
that
The establishment doesn't approve of this message. I know
that there
this,
were
but
federal
we should be
agents.
able to talk about this.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
This is
in the
important to
crowd.
talk about.
Let him
You're
talk.
saying there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
Yep.
There is no evidence that there were federal agents
There's plenty
in the
of
crowd
evidence.
on January
There's
6th.
videos.
So why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none? They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that that you have not seen any evidence
So
that
we've
there
seen
were,
multiple.
and so you
We've seen
assume that there
multiple
were.
informants suggesting that there were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked to.
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this, and you can come back and question me?
Well, let me
Abby?
clarify.
'Cause I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my
I know this is an
question
uncomfortable issue for many people, but we have to
you-
do the truth here.
I'm going to clarify my question because
they
I want
must
to make
be in
sure
her
that you
ear
understand
telling
what
him,
I'm asking.
shut him
understand
up.
this deeply. I
Shut
told you, I was
him
here
up
years ago.
now.
Where is the evidence?
Don't let
where
him
is the
speak
evidence
the
that
truth,
the
please.
government had applied
Makes us look bad.
an inside job.
But no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is.
To
I'm not
focus
gonna- Let him
on
finish.
violence
Respect.
on January 6th.
I'm
Where's
not
the
going to let you put
evidence
words
of
in my
that?
mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I
Where
mean by
is
that.
the evidence that the
Entrapment.
government was
Oh my
involved
God.
in
Entrapment.
planning or executing January 6th?
Shut
I'm
up, Abby.
I'm going to give you hard facts, and if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can
Yeah, it's
push
gonna be
back
very
on it.
uncomfortable.
Evidence.
And you can push back on
They're
that.
screaming in my
Let's do this
ear.
fair.
I know she's like, they're screaming in my
Why
ear.
did
Please
they
stop.
suppress footage of now what's been released? 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd. You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing people
Ramaswamy,
in.
again,
She's
right
still
through
trying to
the
interrupt him.
vast
Yo, let him
majority
speak.
of the
That video
footage
evidence should have been released
shows-
before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
That
the
evidence
vast
should have been
majority
released
of the
before.
footage
Oh
shows
my
And my
God.
deeper
police
question
officers
is this.
being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
This is really important.
riders. That's
I'm
what
going to
the
give you
vast
I'm going to give you some
majority
hard facts.
of it shows.
So here's what entrapment
can't
is.
cherry
Here's-
pick.
I'm not cherry picking.
You
If I
cannot-
may finish,
you
Abby.
cannot
If I may
cherry
finish,
pick
Abby. I'm not cherry picking.
examples.
She has a nerve to
And
say you
contrary
can't cherry
to the
pick.
contrary,
CNN
cherry
is
pick.
known for
and
cherry
that
picking
is what
stories.
happened
The government
on
cherry
January
picked
6th.
12 hours of footage when there was 200 hours of footage. So cherry picking was the government, not me.
Yes.
Released the
So-
whole thing. And let me just finish one thing too, because this is super important as a topic.
So when you-
I
when
think this is a
we're-
civil libertarian issue of our time.
When we were
Gretchen Whitmer's
talking-
kidnapping. I want to be really clear
She
on
won't
this.
let him
Because it's the
finish.
same issue in the same FBI, same even part of the FBI. 3 people who were in an alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were acquitted at the end of trial because it was entrapment. That is, government agents put them up to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done. They gave them credit cards with spending limits of up to $5,000, encouraged them to buy munitions, plan something they weren't otherwise willing to plan. So much so, and I want people at home to know this, especially CNN viewers to know this, is that one of the jurors went to those defendants and apologized afterwards, gave him a hug, apologized, seeing what the government had put a poor guy up to who had to go to some Mexican restaurant across the street to get hot water. These people were exploited with credit cards up to $5,000, FBI agents putting them up to a kidnapping plot that we were told was true but was entrapment. Same thing with the Capitol Police, people letting them in freely. Many of those people then being charged.
Look,
the government cannot put you up to do something and then charge you for it. That's wrong.
I don't want to have to.
What I'm talking about.
I don't want to have to.
Abby, why don't you listen to what he's saying?
I really don't. But I don't want you to mislead the audience here. Or
I'm not.
Mislead them with what?
They've
Truth?
been misled by the mainstream media.
14
The
people.
mainstream media has misled them.
14
Yes.
people were charged in
For sure.
that plot. A majority of them were convicted.
I said 3 of them were acquitted
Right,
on
but-
grounds of
but
entrapment.
what
That's a
folks
fact.
need- what
Dispute me.
folks-
Was I wrong about that?
What folks need to
Was I wrong
understand-
about what I said?
what
I
folks
was not.
need to understand
3
is
people were
that
acquitted on grounds of entrapment.
9 were
a juror apologized.
9 were
Yeah, but you
convicted.
but the 3 who were put up should have
But
never
going
got to that
back
stage of
to
a
the
trial.
January
okay?
6th
That's
That's what I'm talking
unacceptable in the
about,
United
man.
States.
Don't stand down.
Look, I just want people to understand. 3 people were acquitted. 9 people were convicted
I
in
heard
that
you, Abby.
plot.
Yes, that's what we need. That's why he's number 1 in my book right now. Right now, I've never voted Republican. This is gonna be the first time. And if it's not him, I guess I gotta vote for Trump because I'm definitely not voting for fucking Biden. Let's be real. Biden is doing some crazy stuff. He's old as hell. He can barely speak. And it seems like there's a lot of corruption there. They won't even hold the primaries. In Florida, they shut down the Democratic primary debates. No, you're not going to primary Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the candidate. Nobody else can speak. There's going to be no debates. Why can't he debate? Are you kidding me? Right now, Vivek Ramaswamy has my vote. It's going to be my first time voting Republican. I like the fact that he's speaking the truth no matter what. He's going at people with facts. And you could tell they're not giving you the full story because you see how she's interrupting him when he's speaking about this. So why are you interrupting him? Let him speak. Let him speak. Let people hear it and decide for themselves. Why are you trying to fact check him? What are you fact checking him with? You don't have the facts either. He said he has the facts. I believe him because I've seen a lot of videos now that they're releasing that they didn't release before where it looks like they incited the riot. That's what they did. Like they were shooting them with rubber bullets when they were just standing in front of the building. There was nothing happening. Now, am I saying there were not some dumb people there that wanted to do dumb stuff? It always happens, no matter where it is. Any peaceful riot, you're going to have somebody do something stupid. But they made it seem like they were trying to stage a coup. Or they were trying to stop the results from being counted. Or confirmed. I don't know, man. It just seems like we've been lied to for so long that it's hard to believe anything anymore. But I know one thing. I heard this from somebody. I forgot who I heard it from. Maybe it was Tim Pool. The reason especially CNN, because that's what I watched. I watched CNN. The reason they kept saying the word insurrection is because if somebody is charged with insurrection, if a former president is charged with insurrection, he cannot run anymore at all if he's found guilty of insurrection. And I believe they said that was the only thing that could stop somebody from running for president. Insurrection. No wonder we heard it so much. Anyway, I'm out.